Hi, folks. Um, it's nearly 3:30 in the afternoon on the 1st of July 2020. Right, this video, this is really me explaining something and giving an example which is blatantly flipping obvious. See, other Christians think that we should be patient with people who are stupid or doing stupid things, and we should be forbearing with them. But what I'm talking about here is you get people that get offended by the most stupid, ridiculous thing. The most stupid, something you've said, something you may have tweeted years ago, or something you may have said at some point in time. And they want to hurt you because they're offended, right? Yeah. They get offended by that. They don't, however, get offended by a child in India sniffing glue, ruining their brains because of the fact that they're basically forced into slavery. That's not offensive. That's not bloody offensive. How? This is what drives me absolutely insane about these young moronic people who are between 20 and 30. They're absolute bloody morons, most of them. Complete morons. I was in a church thing recently where they were saying, oh, that generation is going to lead the church. No, it isn't. No way, shape or form. That generation, that entitled generation, who have no idea about life in any way, shape or form, no idea how to have a conversation with someone, no idea how to sort out problems, no idea how to look at reality. They just want to have their safe spaces, and anyone who says something that offends them, oh, we're going to attack you now. George Floyd was killed by a copper because the police officer had his knee on his neck. Of these people that get so offended by these little things, how many were shouting and screaming about that? Very, very few, until Black Lives Matter started basically demanding everyone shout and screaming about it. They weren't offended by it. There's some awful things are happening. Awful bloody stuff is happening, and these people aren't offended. They don't care. Because somebody said something that was unkind. Somebody said something that offended them. Someone said something they didn't like the person saying. So therefore, we've got to get you back for that. Really? Really? Jesus Christ. You people, if you were around in the Second World War, Hitler would still have done all the nasty things he had done. Because you would have been focusing on a book that someone wrote 100 years ago. You would have been the book burners. You focus on the trivial shit that doesn't matter. And that stuff that really doesn't matter in any way, shape, or form in the scheme of anything in life. Anything at all in life. Nothing whatsoever. So a comedian made a joke. So what? That comedian made a joke. As a Christian, most comedians slag off Christianity all the time. All the time. Do I get offended? No, because I know that person is there to do that. That's their job. If I'm offended by what he's saying, then my job really is to try and prove him wrong. To build such a relationship with God that God is working through me in such a way this person cannot deny God. All this stupidity is that they have these desires to protect trans people are in as much needed as protection as everyone else, I would guess. Maybe slightly more. But in as much needed protection as children in India. What about people in Hong Kong right now? There's been a new law made in Hong Kong, which is going to massively affect the people there. Anyone offended by that? No? No surprise, this is China. Of course, you're not going to protest against China, are you? You're not going to protest against Russia. You're not going to protest against South Korea, North Korea. It will be North Korea, not South Korea. Yeah. You're not going to do any of that stuff because of the fact that those nations will smack you down big time. They will send a assassin to kill you. So yeah, don't say anything against them. Let's go after this or that person who said something or did something years ago that was acceptable then. Let's try and tear them a new one because of the fact that you are now offended by that. Well, that's cancel Shakespeare, because at the time of Shakespeare there was some awful things going on, and some of his plays are talking about some pretty awful things going on there at that time. That language isn't the language we use now, so that's offensive. Let's just cancel it all. Let's get rid of all the books. Let's get rid of all the opinions, all the movies from the past, all the songs, all the comedians, all the books, everything. Get rid of the whole lot. Let's erase history because it offends somebody. Guaranteed somebody's going to be offended by some part of history. But every part of history is going to be offending to somebody. So let's get rid of the whole lot. None of it matters because somebody was offended. You're offended? Tough. It's called life. Yeah, you've been babied. You've been overprotected by your parents. So you've never really faced offence and learned how to deal with it. You know what they call that? Tough. That's your parents' fault. They're going to be judged by God for the fact that they were crap parents. Not all of them were. Some of them did their best, but society maybe got you, not your parents. This is a rant, and the way rants go is sometimes you blame the wrong people, so you have to correct it mid-rant. Not all parents were bad parents, but so many were. So many parents wanted to be friends with their children. You can see that how the children are, soft, and how they get so offended at nothing. So offended. It's incredible. This is generally an issue within society. That being offended is equal now to being beaten up. You can be having police coming around your door for saying something that is offensive to somebody. By giving an opinion that offends somebody, you can have the police coming around your house and telling you, be careful, otherwise you could be arrested. You could be charged for that. Because you've hurt someone's feelings. Maybe just tell the person who got offended to grow up. Maybe that's the way to go about it. There's too many children, too many adults are walking around in adult bodies but have children's minds. They're just not ready to be adults in any way, shape or form. And they're doing an awful job of actually being an adult. They really, really are. Crazy business. It's insane, these people. Really blinking insane. It's a mad situation of kids running around pretending to be adults, getting involved in stuff that isn't good in any way, shape or form, having a mentality that is problematic and causing problems for people around them. Lynch squads. We're talking about Black Lives Matter. We're talking about people that used to if you had brown skin in the early 20th century, the amount of lynchings were awful for these people. But now we've got lynch squads on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these other social media networks. That their job is to find people that say something that's offensive and lynch them. Basically, destroy that person, kill them from a social point of view. The irony of it. Black Lives Matter, but we're going to lynch anyone who says something we don't agree with. Yeah. Very mature. Very mature indeed. I can see why a lot of employers won't employ people of that age group. I can see why that is the case. I wouldn't. I've had conversations with people of that age group, and I tell you now, oh, God. It is like trying to talk to a 5-year-old. Not with all of them, but with some of them. With some of them, it's like talking to a blinking 5-year-old. They have that level of maturity. To say that immature is a joke. It's not good enough. This is a group of people that are going to shape society to a certain degree, and look at what they're shaping it into. This society where you've got to be careful what you say, where if you're a comedian, you've got to basically go into the dark and dreary places where nobody goes in order to actually be a real comedian nowadays. Because all this PC comedy is coming out now, where you've got to sign everything to say, I won't make a joke about this and that and this and that and this and that. And there's about 200 things that you can't make a joke about. But then what on earth is the point of being a comedian? I find comedy is brilliant. I mean, there's some comedians there's some that are Jimmy Carr, for example. I like Jimmy Carr. He can be very rude. And some of his jokes can be really pushing it. But he's got a clever mind. And I like the fact that he's got that quick mind where he can just go bang, 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 bang. Lee Evans I liked. Completely different type of comedian. Not rude, but zany and quick. And, a bit like Norman Wisdom. So, but entertaining. But as I say, it's a case where I wouldn't say to people, you've got comedians or so-called comedians like Roy Trobby Brown, who was one that was around years ago. I think he's still around now, although probably not doing as well now. But he's one of these comedians that is foul-mouthed, incredibly foul-mouthed, incredibly sexual. His jokes are incredibly sexual and really, some of them quite disgusting. I would never be interested in listening to that man in any way, shape or form. But I wouldn't try and ban him. Because if there are people that want to listen to him, then okay. That's up to you. You like that? Okay. I've no idea why. Maybe you can explain that to me. Help me to understand how this is funny. How what he's saying is clever and funny and talented, and how he deserves to have a career. But I'm not going to try to cancel him because of the fact that I don't like what he's doing. Even from a Christian point of view. Because that's the point. Sin surrounds us. There are different levels of sin. But it's all sin. All sin separates people from God. All sin. It doesn't matter what level. So people saying, oh, but you said this. Oh, but you did that. Oh, but you did this. Oh, but you did that. And they're basically counting it all as the same sort of thing, not actually looking at the differences. Now, to a certain degree, I understand that from the point of view of sin is sin, but we live in a world where there are different levels of crime. You're not going to treat someone who has shoplifted as a murderer. You're going to sentence them to the same time as a murderer will be sentenced to. But a lot of these lynch squads, they basically do that. They say, well, okay, you've said a joke that is slightly sexist. You are equal to a rapist because you did that. So, excuse me? What? How do you get that equals that? That one offence is the same as you had those people, Weinstein, was it? Yeah. And you had that producer who was basically using the casting couch. But we knew that already. That was something that everyone knew. In the 80s and 90s, we all knew that a lot of these actresses had sex with the directors and the producers in order to get the role. That was common knowledge. Male and female. That was common knowledge that happened. It's been going on for, decades, probably since the first big movies. We knew that. That was obvious. It's probably been going on ever since theatre. Even since Shakespeare's time. You want a role, they've got something you want, or have you got something I want? That's quite often the way that the world has worked. So, if you're operating in a worldly system, then, that sort of barter arrangement is quite often the way it's been. So you had this chap doing that, and of course people were up in arms about that. But then they were saying, okay, you had, is it Al Sharpton was the politician who made a joke about 15 years ago. He made a joke. This lady was asleep. I think she was a soldier or something. He made a joke pretending that he was going to squeeze her breasts in a photo. And they destroyed him. They basically ruined his career. As if he was the same as this producer, director, abusing women because he could. He made a joke. He's a politician, but he was also a comedian. At that point in time, that was an innocent, stupid joke. Yet time has moved on now. It doesn't mean it wasn't seen as a joke then. Of course, the woman comes out saying, oh, she was offended by it even then, but she wouldn't speak up because of blah, blah. Yeah. Really? Really? I'm sorry, but you claim to be a strong woman, and you claim to be the strong woman then, but you didn't say anything to anyone. You didn't tell him that what he'd done was, complete. No. You jumped on the bandwagon. As soon as other people found out about it, you suddenly said, oh, I was so offended. We've got this offended culture. And the offended culture is not a good culture. It's not attractive. It's not something that in 100 years' time people are going to look back with pride and say, well, what a time that was. Everyone got offended by absolutely nothing and just tried to destroy everyone who offended them. What a time that was, eh? One thing is a certainty. Things like armies are going to suffer immensely. Because with that sort of age group, maybe entering the army, geez, you wouldn't want any of those people anywhere near the armies, would you? Give them a gun? As soon as they fire the gun, they'd be running away. Oh, the gun fired. Oh, let's run away. Oh, we found that really offensive, that bang. Oh. Good job there's no war. Isn't there? Because certainly if there was a war, you'd put those people right at the front, wouldn't you? They'd be fodder. Here you go. You go out the front. Not even going to give you guns. Just run towards the enemy. Go on. Do society a favour. It's with this sort of thing, what I don't understand is, why doesn't God just wipe them all out? Not all of them, because not all the people 20 to 30 are like that. An awful lot are, though. So the ones that are, just go, there you go. A mistake was made. Let's delete it. Delete those mistakes. Next generation, the ones sort of now, coming up to 20, they've got some work to do. They really have. It's very unfair on them. They're coming after this lot. And you can tell with a lot of these people that are young, they're absolutely disgusted the way the people 10 years older than them have dealt with things. They're not impressed with that at all. And to say that there's a... You listen to my videos. I've made videos in the past talking about the fact that certainly older generations are to blame for a lot of stuff that's going on now. And I'm not going to deny that. And I would certainly say that the parents of these people that are 20 to 30 are very much to blame for the way they are. So that probably means people who are 40 to 50 are to blame. Yeah. You can't just blame the people. I mean, their teachers, society, their parents, they're all accountable for what's been going on. That's the reality, is that they've been molded by teachers and society and parents. And so, yeah, look what's been molded. That's why I say delete the mistakes. Because if you work in a pottery and you're making loads of cups and they all come out with droopy, well, they're not going to hold any liquid. They're going to be completely useless as cups. What are you going to do? You're going to fire them anyway? Throw them in the bin. You just throw them in the bin. There you go. You're useless. In the bin. Of course, you can't delete a whole group of people. You can't stick them on an island and say, go on, fend for yourself. Grow up. Once you've grown up, you can come off the island. Yeah, that'd be a good option. Yeah, let's find an island big and put them on the island and say, there you go. Once you grow up, once you prove you've grown up and you can actually be responsible and you can have a conversation, you can separate context. Yeah. You can deal with grievances in an adult manner. Then you can come off the island. Then you can rejoin society and be a member of society. The offended culture. Oh, I'm offended by what you said. Tough. Jesus. You get offended. You're going to get offended maybe at least 1,000 times in your life. Unless you go and hide out in the woods somewhere. You're going to be offended. That's the whole point of free speech. That's the whole point of being around people, is that people will do and say things that you won't like. That's the reality. If you get super offended and you must have some sort of revenge because that person offended you, Jesus Christ, I really hope you never have children. So I feel blinking sorry for your children if you are the example to them. Your child is going to go to school and be beaten the crap out of. Because if they think the same way you do, that they got offended, so someone should be punished because they got offended, other kids are going to beat the crap out of them. It's not fair on your kids, so hopefully you don't have kids. Spare them of that. And that's another point. For all people of any generation, you don't have the right to have a child. You don't. Having a child is a responsibility. It's not a right. Anyone who thinks they have a right to have a child is someone who shouldn't have children. Simple. because you don't see it as a responsibility. Therefore, you're not going to be responsible because you don't understand what being a parent is all about. You think you have a right to have a child because of the fact that you are a human being, and you've got your dog, you've got your cat. What you're missing is a child to add. It's like having a TV. It's like having a mobile phone. You have a right to own a mobile phone? Yeah, you have a right to have a child as well. No, you don't. Sorry, no. It's a blessing to have a child, but it's a responsibility to raise a child. Certainly, as I say, a mixture of society, teachers, and parents have failed miserably to do that with at least a whole generation of people. I don't care what name this generation X, I think, is a new generation. The millennials, is it? The 20 to 30-year-olds? I'm not sure. Don't care. I just know that when you meet these people, some of these people can be astounding at their levels of childishness, where they just haven't grown up. They've just never matured. They've never got to that point as an adult of realizing, okay, you can be offended by someone. That doesn't mean you have to shout and scream and throw all your toys out the blinking pram. But this is what they do because this is what they've learned, and mummy and daddy have always been there to, okay, I'll pick your toys up. And how mean was that person to offend you? Oh, you were absolutely right to scream your head off. I say the parents, the teachers, the people in society that have created this will be judged by God. God's going to judge them, and when they're up in heaven and being judged, God's going to show them, like on video, the clips of how they pampered their children and spoiled them. You can't be a people pleaser with your children. You can't be. That's not the job. That's not what the job is supposed to be a people pleaser with your kids. Say be best friends with your children. Jesus Christ. Really? As parents all the way through your child's life, certainly once until they're at least mature as an adult, you're the one who's supposed to be leading and guiding them. If they're out of order, you tell them they're out of order. You don't go pamper them and make out that everything they do is absolutely fine. Everything anyone else does against them is, like Hitler executing all the Jews, because that's basically the way that these people treat it. Someone's done something against you. Oh dear, you've executed 2 million Jews. You deserve to be destroyed as a result because you offended me. But these are the people that wouldn't be offended while the Germans were carting off the Jews to put them in the execution chambers. They wouldn't be offended by that. I mean, to me, I get offended, but I get most offended when people are doing things to animals. Like, I can watch a movie. If a human dies, okay. If a dog dies, no. Or a horse, I saw some facts that there were, I'm not even going to try and guess, I think there's about 2 million horses died in the Second World War. So what? That's awful. Absolutely awful. These poor creatures that didn't really have a say, they got blown up and shot, and oh my Lord. Awful. The people had a say in it. The people had a blinking choice. At least to a certain degree they had a choice. They were trained. These poor animals, they're just pack animals. That's all they are, seen as worthless. And, so no. To me, they're more important than the people. Because the people actually had a choice in it. So I get offended by that stuff. But I don't want to cancel people because of it. I get offended when someone is doing things that are risking the puppy's life. I don't try and cancel the people. I just want the people to stop doing that. That's all. Just stop doing it. I'm not interested in destroying you. I'm not interested in damaging you in any way, shape, or form. I'm just interested in you stopping doing the thing that is potentially harmful. Stop doing that. All the rest, don't care. Do what you want to bloody do. Yeah? I'm not interested. Your life. But when you're doing things that can be harmful to animals, no, that's not okay. Yeah, and all this stuff about where they use chimpanzees and dogs to test stuff. I can understand it. I can understand it. Because they're not going to want to test stuff that could be harmful on people, and these animals are bred purely for that. But you still look at the fact and saying these are living, breathing creatures with feelings. They have receptors where they can feel pain. They have emotions. And you're putting stuff in their eyes, lipstick and eyeshadow, and you're testing them with all these new drugs, could be seriously harmful to them. I can see it from both. So I can understand it, as I say, you don't really want to be testing on humans, but that is a tough one, because so yeah, there you go. Well, I downloaded this thing earlier. I haven't watched it yet. It's I think it's called Children of God. It's like a TV version documentary of some dog millionaire. And I haven't watched it yet because it's going to be a tough thing to watch, because it is going to be really bad with people in terrible circumstances. And that's what made me think. You've got these people that get offended by nothing. That stuff doesn't seem to offend them. And even the fact that, in the UK, for example, you had elderly people taken out of care homes, going into a hospital. Then, once hospital was filled with COVID-19, they moved these COVID-19 elderly people back into the care homes. That basically infected all these other people in the care homes and killed them. And that's not offensive to most people. How on earth is that not offensive? I don't get it. That should be incredibly offensive, because these are people that were living, breathing people. They were older people. They had served society in some way or another, and they were seen as completely bloody worthless. Completely blinking worthless by the decision makers. Just shove them back in the old people's homes. Doesn't matter. Yeah, the fact that you're infecting all the other people there, at least potentially, in a lot of cases, they were actually affecting everyone else there, and that's where so many of the deaths come from. The old people's homes, where they put people back into them who were infected with the COVID-19. Crazy business. As I say, that's incredibly offensive. How on earth people aren't offended by that, I don't know. I really don't know. There you go, 34 minutes in. I've just checked the time. That's enough for this rant. Yeah, say the offended culture. I get offended by things, and what I do is I spend time with God. I go for a walk. I speak to God about it. I pray about it. I rant and rave about it. That's it. Done. Out the system. I don't need to cancel anyone as a result. Oh, sometimes you're tempted. Of course, sometimes you're tempted. Yeah, when I've had problems with people, sometimes you want to go after them. you want to gain evidence and go after their jobs, because quite often that's the best way to damage people. And that's why this offended culture, they've gone after people's jobs. I mentioned in the video the other day, there was this chap who just made a comment questioning Black Lives Matter, and he lost his job. He was fired from his job because he questioned Black Lives Matter. He never said anything against brown people. He wasn't being racist in any way, shape, or form, but he just questioned them. And that's it. They went after him and took his job. As I say, yeah, I understand that. It's tempting to do that, yes. But we're not judge and jury. As I said in the video the other day, God is the one who judges, not us. We're not supposed to judge people. God judges people. And so let him do that. Understand that people are flawed. They make mistakes. Stop being offended by the most stupid things. You're going to die really young. If you truly get offended by things so easily, you're going to have your life stressed. You're going to be stressed a lot. You're putting a lot of pressure on your heart and on your other organs because of the stress levels that you're going to go through. And I guarantee you something, certainly for a lot of you, you are going to pick on the wrong people with your cancel culture. You're going to pick on somebody because you're going to get cocky. You're going to keep doing it, and you're going to pick on the wrong people. When you pick on the wrong person, you are seriously going to regret it. There are a lot of psychos out there. I've said this in other videos. There are a lot of psychos out there, because there are. Yeah, most of the mental hospitals were closed down. These people are back in the community. You pick on one of those people, you're going to regret it. They're not going to muck around with you. They're not. But if you are in the business of making people suffer because they offended you, you're in the business of pain. And if you're in the business at the moment of trying to give pain, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you in the arse. It is. I mean, it's quite possible you yourself will be cancelled because of something you have said. Because we know that Yeshua said, if you fight with a sword, you will die by the sword. And if you fight with offence, you'll die by offence. That's a fair thing to expect. So wise up. Grow up. Realise the world owes you nothing. And if you get offended, that's just you being offended. Being offended is normal. Yeah, people for thousands of years have been offended. Everybody has been offended. We learn to deal. We've learned to deal. Your generation has got to learn to deal. Just deal with it. Is it worth being offended over such stupid blinking things? Problem is, at the moment, you think it is. You're going to realise at some point, no, it wasn't. And by that point, you would have wasted so much of your life on being offended over stuff that didn't matter. That's up to you. It really is. It's your life. Live it how you want. As I say, if there's an island that we can stick you all on until you grow up, then I would certainly vote for that. But I don't think there is. I don't think that option is available. But that's why it's difficult being forbearing towards people and just putting up with people that are like that, because it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's like you're dealing with people that are so immature, so incredibly immature. You can't have an adult conversation with these people in any way, shape, or form. They're just not capable of it. I got that Molly out. She's doing body burps. So I'll end the video there. Molly, you got a stinky bum? Have you? Yeah, Molly got a stinky bum. Right, you take care, bud. You take care, folks. God bless, and I will speak to you soon. This has been a rant on the offended culture. So you take care, folks. Enjoy. As I say, this is how you get rid of any offence. You rant. All right, take care. Bye-bye.